We'll now welcome in the studio Justice Undersecretary Geronimo Sy, head of the Department of Justice Cybercrime Office. He has the Planning and Management Service in charge of the justice sector reform agenda, among other functions. He's a recognized expert in technology law and competition law. Yusek,
Good morning,
welcome
sir.
to the studio.
And before we begin, let me just say go Ateneo for the game.
All right. We're balanced here, so I'm going to say go UST. I'm not from UST, though.
Okay.
All right. First question, what do you do? That's a really long title, but what do you do?
For the past week and a half, nothing but media interviews and guestings. Just to make sure that cybercrime.
Okay.
Just to make sure that people understand what it's really about. There's a lot of misinformation, misunderstanding. Even among media practitioners, a lot of need for clarity and sobriety in how we handle a new law like cybercrime.
Misinformation. Okay.
Correct.
What is the correct information?
The correct information is that if you look through the whereas clause, that's like the preamble of a law to talk about the Cybercrime Prevention Act. It's really against transnational organized crime.
Okay.
It's really for the hardcore cybercrime.
Okay.
We're not, if you talk about blogging, if you talked about tweeting, liking, in the global cybercrime protection regime, no country does that. Unless, of course, you're authoritarian or dictatorial.
Right. Which we're not.
Which we're not. We're not. In fact, sir, we are number 6 in internet freedom in the world. I think the best test is after a year of implementation of the law, if it comes to pass, we see if our internet freedom is still within the top 10 or not. Top 10 is very, very high, and it's very special for the Philippines because in a lot of indicators, we're not even top 50 or top 100.
What are the fears based on?
The fears, number one, is, of course, there's when you read the law, and this is the intersection of law, ICT, and policy.
Right.
And ever since the founding of the Republic in 1898 until now, we never had the chance to talk about what is privacy to you, what is privacy to me, what is libelous, or these turnkey issues.
Okay.
And suddenly you find yourself confronted in law, something you've been very used to for the past 10, 15 years with technology, with SMS, with the growth in all the social media, without thinking about the regulation that comes with it. Okay. And for the first time, we are trying to make sense of what's happening. We've seen a lot of abuses also, a lot of lives destroyed, a lot of criminality that's used by ICT. In fact, right now, 100% of all crimes that we're docketing will always have an electronic evidence interface.
Okay.
A buy bus that uses a text, an email that sends money for drug trafficking, any other form of crime, there always has to be electronic interface. It's no longer possible to commit crimes in the 21st century without ever using an electronic device like a cell phone.
I think that's the scary part. When you mix that, electronic interface, with the word regulation, then that sounds like Big Brother to me.
Correct. And the concern for Big Brother is something we all share because private citizens aside, government officials, government employees, are also private citizens. We don't want to be Big Brother watching us too. I think that's a shame concern. What's important is you look at the total justice sector framework and find out how weak the institutions are. And one of the weaknesses comes from a lack of legal framework for law enforcement. So I think that's where the Cybercrime Prevention Act is meant to address, designed for. Unfortunately, some along the way, there have been a lot of amendments, and of course, this is an exercise of the legislative prerogative. So now we're left with the law, which we think, we call it the Cybercrime Prevention Act 1.0. We can never get a law right in the first place or perfect in the first place. And what we need to do is to continue to upgrade our law, not only this law, but all the laws, all our institutions, all the types of media reporting. I think that's where we should all be coming from.
Do you think the 120-day temporary restraining order is an opportunity?
We're looking at the, you have to be practical and being an optimist. One is it's just an opportunity for people to sober down and not be very shrill or emotional about the debate, both sides. And also for Congress, if they decide to amend or upgrade or to roll out a version 2.0, we will support, of course, the both houses. At the same time, this incident, rightly or wrongly, has given the whole government, the whole body politic, not only government, everyone, a chance to debate on what cybercrime is, what is the awareness for. In fact, with this, our campaign for advocacy of being more aware of what crimes, what abuses can happen is already done. It's about 50% done. Now everyone knows there's cybercrime, and there's the many forms that can be committed. So that's already a good spot to it.
Personally, what areas of the law would you want tweaked or changed?
I don't have a personal position in that sense because, as I've said, this is a Cybercrime Prevention Act 1.0. There will be needing for upgrades, and we were hoping that the IRR will clarify a lot of provisions that have been challenged, have been questioned by rearranging, clarifying certain words. If there were certain lack of details, which the law is not supposed to provide, we were supposed to give that in the IRR.
How's the IRR coming along?
We already have a draft. We've always had a fighting draft because in the department we always do complete staff work. So while you're doing a law, you're advocating for a law, you're trying to address the request from law enforcement, and you're also trying to convince and make your case to the legislators. You start building the accompanying document. This is like the manual of how to open a computer.
Right.
It comes with the computer itself.
Okay.
And whatever things that we felt were not included or need to be addressed, it's already in our draft IRR, which of course we were ready to consult and bring this under a collaborative framework, crowdsourced IRR we call it. So everyone has a chance to comment. We'll put it in the website. Everyone can say its piece. In fact, it's a very historic effort because the forum we had was the first ever that the department did on live stream, which is new in government in that sense for a very traditional bureaucracy like the department. The collaborative IR will also be the first one that uses new media to actually craft an IRR, and we believe that the Cybercrime Prevention Act is a good model because precisely it's the law that addresses internet and
So you're making sure
forms.
that people have a say in the IRR.
That's always been the stand of the department: transparency, accountability, and fairness.
You have a presentation with you. You want to show it to us?
Correct. We brought this presentation because this was something we presented, and since this is a new show, Jing, we thought of sharing a few slides that perhaps were not clearly taken up.
Okay.
Just a couple of slides that would be highlighted. The first slide shows the basic concept.
Okay.
Even as we cry about academic freedom or freedom of speech or freedom of expression, the reality is everyone has experienced the specter of cybercrime. Whether text scam, whether you've been victimized, cyber threats, everyone has experienced that.
Yeah.
But the question is, what is the remedy? What do you do about it?
Yeah.
And these are crimes that may not directly impact your life or liberty, but over time adds up to the total full human potential that we're receiving. So that's the first part, the fighting cybercrime aspect.
Right.
The fighting for integrity in cyberspace. Integrity, we know it as not graft-laden, not corruption-laden. We look at it as a lesson in civics. That the first rule in cyberspace, in anywhere, is the golden rule. If you don't want it to happen to your reputation,
Don't do it to anyone.
precisely, Jing. In the past few days, when we're doing this, even news anchors would come up and after the interview and say, "Sir, we actually support that law because I have experienced this particular specter, but it's very difficult for me to complain because of XYZ factors." And these are things that are very experiential to everyone. And if I may,
Go ahead, please.
we just want to talk about a couple of slides. Is that the cybercrime law should be read in the context of the Data Privacy Act and cybersecurity. And we have been very consistently advocating that one of the confusion that's being put into the law includes both cybercrime and cybersecurity, which are totally different concepts. But in the law, somehow it got there. It's two different concepts that should be contained in two separate laws. The other thing is, this is a very helpful lay slide to understand what are the building blocks of our legal framework, especially for crime. You start with the Revised Penal Code, 1932, then the whole slew of special penal laws, including the anti-voyeurism, child porn, trafficking, 1960s to 2000, 2012, and then cybercrime. That is the third block that will complete our legislation in terms of criminal interdiction.
Okay.
Those are the major slides I'd like to share. And in fact, I'm leaving this slide here at the studio in case you want to have a corporate campaign or there are certain slides that would be
Thank
helpful.
you. Yeah, that would be very
in
helpful.
future
Yes.
presentations. Yeah.
What's the next step now? There's a 120-day TRO.
Correct.
Yeah, you say it's an opportunity many opportunities for all sectors to calm down, number
Correct.
one, and start talking about it, thinking about it, and looking at the cybercrime law. What do you expect? Well, the legislators at this point to move on in terms of the cybercrime law?
Last night we were with Congressman Fred Tinga. I just want to share this, that Jing, that he was our #1 supporter in the legislature.
Right.
Very receptive, knows technology, knows the challenges, the contours. In fact, if they had passed the bill that Congressman Tinga and the TWG of the DOJ worked together, could have saved us a lot of aggravation and
Why
move
is that?
forward. Because the bill that we had was simplified, was very clear. We just used model laws, the International Convention on Cybercrime, kept it simple, focused on the hardcore cybercrime offenses. That was the advocacy, the template that we provided all these years. And moving forward, the draft IR will continue to fine-tune that, regardless of what purposes it, because everyone recognizes the need for a Cybercrime Prevention Act, whether in 1.0 or 1.5 or 2.0, we have to keep on iterating our laws. So we will keep on drafting that internally as part of our mandate to complete the framework. We have issued guidelines last year on how to protect yourself against cybersecurity. Just 2 weeks ago, we issued our first guideline on plagiarism, because there's also a lot of confusion in what is plagiarism, what is not, how to protect yourself against it, how to spot, if you spot it, what are the things you can do with it. So that's another thing that we're doing. Although from the forum Tuesday, there was an agreement that all the participants, we had 180 participants, about 40 institutions, and there was a clamor that they wanted to be part of it. So we converted the whole 180 people to a collaborative IRR working group already. But because of the TRO, we cannot move forward with the terms of reference, so to speak. So there are some private sector people that say it doesn't stop them from coming up with their own draft IRR. We said, for sure, it doesn't stop you. That's the real freedom of speech and expression.
And I think that's what it's about, really.
Correct.
Freedom.
Correct.
So we still have our freedoms.
Of course, you and I have it. The fact that we're here discussing the
And you're going to
Cybercrime
protect it
Prevention
for
Act.
us.
All the way, on my lawyer's oath.
Okay, USEC Geronimo Sy. Thanks very much for your
Thank you.
time. Thanks for your expertise. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you, Jing.